Now I apply my makeup very, very differently, just with some really basic changes, but they've actually made the world of difference. So my makeup is now looking polished, so I'll do it that way now so that you can see the difference between the two. Now I apply it in a totally different order. First thing I do is I curl my lashes, which is something that I never ever did. I have a great deal of difficulty in getting them to stay curled, so I hold them very tightly against the base of my lash, and then I do them once more just a bit higher. Then I put on one simple coat of mascara just to keep the curl in it, and I find that having the curl in my eyelashes, and I'm not sure if you can see the difference between just not curling and curling. Sorry, curling and not curling your eyelashes, the difference it makes when your eyes are open and you're looking forward. It's made them look totally different. This is something that I find that works really well for me in the Photo Ready series that they make, and it's their eye primer, which I'm really enjoying. So what I do with that, it's something that you just click up at the bottom, so you only need to do 1 or 2 clicks, and I just dab a little bit. As you can see, you don't need much, and this would be enough generally for both eyes, so unfortunately I've squeezed out a little too much. But I would also apply it slightly under my eye to catch the shadow that I'm going to put on there as well. The other thing I do, which may seem like overkill for some people, is I actually am using the Colour Tattoo by Maybelline. It's their 24-hour. It's beautiful shimmery shade. It's white, but it's certainly got a shimmer in it, and I really like it. As I said, I do like having shimmer on my shadows, so I just place that over the top of my eye primer. Is like a second insurance policy for my eyeshadow not to move, and that won't show through once I start putting the eyeshadow on. And so what I'll do is I will do my eyeshadows, but with using the same palette that I used to use, just in a different combination to get the same effect that I do now. So I do things probably backwards as far as a lot of people are concerned, but it works for me. And I just pick that up very loosely on the very tip of the brush, and basically all I then do is, I need to do the right eye, I start in the corner to highlight, and I run a little underneath the bottom of my eye, and then basically I just follow it straight up my brow bone, just going back into the product as I need it, and basically just putting a little bit of colour to highlight my brow bone. So that's the first thing that I do. So that colour follows all the way through, basically from the inside of my eye up and then onto my brow bone. So basically that's my highlight colour done. Then the next thing I do is I get a flat brush similar to this, something even that the last brush I used, the bristles are really quite soft on it. You'll see they're quite fluffy and it's not a very stiff brush. This brush, however, is quite stiff. You'll see that there's not a lot of movement in those bristles, and it's a thin, and I like to use this to lay down the colour. Basically just pat it and pack the eyeshadow on so it sits like that. So then what I do is I literally, you'll see I always check that there's no crease happening with the eye tattoo, which it generally doesn't. So then I just pack that colour on, literally just pat it and pack it onto my eyelid. And I basically just apply it to the mobile part of my eye. Now I do blend it so that it's not a stark line between where that white highlight colour is on the inside of my eye, and once my foundation goes on you'll see that that blends in far better. So that's the very first thing I do. So the second thing I do is I go back in with that same colour, so I've been using this goldy sort of colour, so I go back in with it again, but I only put it on the very tip of the brush. and I just run it under my eye just to highlight, and basically so that it meets up with that white highlight colour. So I'm then going to go in with what I'm going to use as a crease colour. So I'm going to go back into this dark colour again, being that they're similar colours to what I had on the other side. So basically what I do is I do a very small amount in the lower corner, and then I draw a line. Because it's so stiff, it allows you to draw a line so that you can see that the shape, start making the shape of your eye, and it blends it very nicely together. So just a little bit more, and again just on the tip of the brush, and I lay that just along my eyelashes just to give it a bit of colour. So this is a sort of colour that I would wear to work, and you can see what I mean about the fallout that I get, but don't worry about that. I'll show you a very easy way to clean that up. So basically I just move that colour from the outside in, and ensuring that I'm working on that V sort of shape along my lashes and then into my crease. So I use quite a fluffy brush at this point to do my blending. So it's quite a soft brush, and all I do is I just use that. I don't even pick any more up off the shadow, I just blend it with that gold just to soften it up a bit so that it all blends really nicely together. Then what I'm going to do is one last colour. I'm going to go in just with a colour to blend the highlight colour and the other colours that I've used just to tone it down. So I'll go in with this taupey sort of colour here. So with my eye open, I just go and with your windshield wiper motions, as I'm sure everybody's heard, although I had somebody say the other day, rainbow movements, which I thought was just lovely. Yeah. So that is my eyeshadow done. Now for the cleanup. I like to use the facial wipes because they pick up any glitter, any fallout, anything of that nature. You can use makeup remover on a cotton bud, whatever, or cotton ball, whatever you find easiest, and I just wipe my cheek. Basically the other thing that I do is I just generally run it up that way just so it gives me a nice clean line when my eyeshadow finishes. So that is that. Now the next thing I have come across, which I absolutely love, is primers, which is not something I've used previously. So again, drugstore primer, but I use the Revlon Photo Ready. This one is in the corrective colour because, as I mentioned earlier, with my discoloration and acne scarring, etc., I find that this sort of evens out my skin tone. So I just dab it basically on my nose, and just with 2 fingers, of course normally I'd be using both hands, I just rub it over my nose to help cover the pores, up over my forehead, which is the main area where I've also got quite open pores, and across my cheek and under my eye, and with the last bit that's left I sort of just do around my mouth. Now one thing I also have changed to is what is everybody refers to as a stippling brush, which I would highly recommend to anybody to apply their foundation. The difference is absolutely phenomenal for me. It has made my makeup, between the primer and this stippling brush, has made my foundation, I feel, look airbrushed, and it just gives a much nicer finish. So again, I actually have also found that I'm using way less foundation, because all I basically do is just dab it around the lid. After I've shaken the bottle, and I just dab it, and it looks terrible now, but I basically just dab it all over my face, including my nose, and I just keep stippling, which is exactly what the brush implies. Just keep stippling my makeup, and you can probably see how that's all starting to blend together now rather than the blobs. But what I find this does is it gives a really beautiful finish to my skin. And once I've basically got no obvious gaps or any areas that are not touched, you can see even the pores in the side of my nose. Just doing it that way is quite different to the pores that you can see here. Now I just go in and I buff the foundation into my skin, and I actually change clockwise and anti-clockwise just to make sure that I'm brushing into all those, any open pores that are there, to fill them and help hide or disguise my lovely open pores, and again up into the hairline. So I'm not sure if you can notice, it's a bit tricky doing half your face. I'm not sure if you can notice the difference between that side and this side, and the finish, the difference in the finish with the open pores and just how the foundation appears on this side. So once I've done that, again, to be fair, I'm going to use the same blush that I used to use, because it would be unfair to use totally different products, because it wouldn't give a similar effect, but I will show different products. I still use a angled blusher brush, so that's definitely something I still do use, and I still do a very similar thing. However, I tend to now blend it on my cheek quite a bit and then brush it upwards towards my ear. So just the finish with the makeup, I just find is quite amazing. The other thing I do, if I feel like I need or would like a bit of colour, is I use another Revlon product. About that, my phone rang, so now I've forgotten where I'm up to. Alright, so basically the Photo Ready, and this is just, like I say, a shimmer, so I generally would put this on the top of my cheek just to give me a bit of highlight through the day. Just adds that little bit of glow to the top of your cheek, nothing too out there. As I say, I do use a lot of different products now, but for this video, so that you can see and make it fair, I'm using the exact same products. So again, I still use the Colour Stay lip gloss. I swear by it, love it. So again, just apply that and it stays on all day, so it's absolute magic. So the only thing left basically that I do now for this simple one, just to give you a basic idea of what I do for a normal day, is apply another coat of mascara, and then I've got an amazing trick which has stopped which I discovered this one, although there is probably somebody who's already invented it and has it on YouTube, how to stop my mascara from blinking all over my cheeks through the day. So that's the finished one. What I do use now is this is actually from e.l.f. and you can see the mascara end. So now what I do is I do use the gel, but I won't, as I say, I'm trying to be fair, but I use this clear mascara and I just coat my eyelashes with that, just really, really lightly, and I swear I have not had any fallout or smudging from my mascara. I basically don't have to touch underneath my eyes. So with a few simple tools, using the exact same makeup, the difference, well, I find, and I think, and from the comments that I've had, has really been quite astounding and quite amazing. Just a flawless sort of look, and I feel much better about myself, and I feel like my skin looks a whole lot better. So thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see you again next time. Bye.